Hi, and welcome to the Loyola Marymount pre-departure orientation videos for international education. We're going to move through these relatively quickly. Obviously, they're going to be built into chapters, and so you'll be able to go back and review them as much as you like. So let's go ahead and get started quickly with Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Money Matters. Money is one of the most important things that students are going to need to think about when they're abroad. Each of you are liable for certain components of your international program, whatever model you're on. One of those components is going to be program fees and or tuition. You'll need to make sure you understand all of the details related to that, costs, and how that impacts you, what aid might or might not be available. Those cover typically the cost of instruction. Usually it covers cost of housing, unless it's on a reciprocal exchange model. Full details are located on either the LMU website or the study abroad office, or through your relevant faculty member, depending on the kind of program you're on. International airfare. Some programs are going to have individual rates where you'll need to buy your own ticket. Others will have group rates. That's also going to depend on your program. It's going to be really important that you know exactly what process you're going to need to go through. Where students spend most of their money, though, is on food, travel, shopping, and entertainment. And I put a green smiley face there because that's actually something you can control. You can determine, as a general rule, how much money you spend in those categories. Money, budgeting. Students, as I mentioned before, students spend the bulk of their money on food, travel, and entertainment. None of the above has to be expensive, but they can be, depending on how you choose to live your life there, wherever it is that you're going. The best tip I can give you, the tip number one, is live like you're living there. Don't live like you're on vacation. If you go out to eat twice a week in the United States, go out to eat twice a week there, no more or less. Building a budget is one of the best places that your parents, family, and loved ones can help you. I know they want to be involved in the process, but that's actually one where it's really, really constructive for them to be engaged. Communication of expectations will be key, and that's both communication of expectations on your part and their part. Make sure that both parties understand exactly what is going to be available and how much. We recommend that you travel with some cash, but not too much cash. As to quote my mom, never carry anything that you can't afford to lose. So you can change some US dollars in the airport, wherever it is that you land, but this also obviously varies by location. Those money exchange booths that you see in airports and on the streets, those are businesses. So I wouldn't exchange a lot of money there because they're going to get a margin. So they're going to trade your currency at a lower rate than you might get. Older ways of doing money transfers, traveler's checks and money wires, they're not recommended anymore. No one really does those, and they tend to be more trouble than they're worth. The best general practice for accessing money overseas is through the ATM, using your US bank debit card. My bank debit card has worked in 45 different countries. I'm sure yours will too. ATMs dispense cash in the local currency when you're there. So you can just put your ATM card in, put your code in, pull out local currency, and it's great. Contact your bank before you leave. There are a few things you need to talk about with them, just to make sure that you know exactly what's available to you. Make sure you know that your ATM card will work abroad. Let your bank know the dates and locations of your travel, because if you don't do that, they're probably going to turn it off, and then you won't have access to your funds. Clarify all foreign ATM withdrawal fees and daily limits. Certain fees may apply, certain fees may not apply. As a general rule, it's cost effective for me to utilize an ATM overseas. You want to make sure that it works the same for you and your bank. There also may be daily limits, and you have to think about that in terms of the exchange rate. If you haven't signed up for online banking or billing, certainly do that. And write down information to report your lost or stolen cards, and keep it in a separate place from your money. If something happens to your card while abroad, you need to be able to access that number very quickly. When it comes to credit cards, this varies dramatically from geographic location to geographic location. They can be useful for some things and not for other things. You might find that they are useful in hotels and in shops and stores, but maybe not in restaurants and bars. But that may vary. In order of usefulness abroad, you may find that Visas and MasterCards, these are in green. Visa and MasterCard are the most used overseas, particularly Visa, used almost everywhere. So if they're going to take a credit card, it'll be Visa. American Express is in yellow because you might find it is useful in some touristy areas for large purchases, hotels, and some fine shops, but not necessarily for other things. A lot of restaurants that might take Visa are not going to take American Express. And your Discover card has a red line through it because you don't even need to bring it with you. It's not used overseas at all. So don't rely on that as a means of access for your funding. You must notify your credit card companies to let them know where you will be and when, so they don't freeze the account. If they see charges in Los Angeles, and then all of a sudden in Rome, they'll turn that card off. Again, keep information for reporting these lost or stolen cards separate from the cards if something happens. When it comes to using an ATM, just be smart about when, how, and where you use the ATM. These are kind of, seem to be simple suggestions, but think about this particular slide when you're by yourself at night using an ATM. So a bad way of using an ATM is alone at night in a remote location with a friendly stranger you just met under the influence. That's bad. Any one of those circumstances are bad. In the combination, it can be really bad. The best way to use an ATM is with a friend you know so that they can be looking over your shoulder when you're using the ATM in the daytime and inside a building or kiosk so that you're not just on the street, and obviously sober. So those are the best ways to use an ATM. People know that you're getting money when you go to an ATM, so you are kind of a vulnerable target at that moment.